Welcome to this explainer. I am so incredibly excited to guide you through today's topic because, well, it's going to completely change how you look at the device you're watching this on right now. Usually when we think about computer architecture, the servers, the networks, our everyday laptops, we just picture cold, hard machines, right? We see metal, glass, silicon, and these rigid lines of totally predictable code. But today, we are throwing that entire perspective out the window. Actually, scratch that. We're flipping it on its head. Today, we're going to start framing computer architecture not as inanimate machines, but as living, breathing biological bodies. And here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. Just like our own flesh and blood bodies, these complex digital structures are highly vulnerable to some extraordinarily severe, fast-spreading diseases. Okay, let's dive into this. The phrase, every modern digital plague that could erase history, might sound like the tagline of a sci-fi movie, but it is definitely not an exaggeration. It's purposefully carrying the apocalyptic weight of a massive natural disaster. We are completely used to categorizing things like, Category 5 hurricanes or huge wildfires as world-altering, catastrophic events. But these digital threats, they carry the exact same level of gravity. We aren't talking about a simple little glitch where your screen freezes, you restart your browser, and you just move on with your day. No way. A true digital plague possesses the sheer destructive force to literally wipe out our recorded existence. Think about it for a second. Think about how much of human history, global financial data, and even your own personal, priceless memories exist purely in the virtual ether right now. If a digital pathogen were to sweep through these systems at scale, it is entirely capable of erasing all that history in the absolute blink of an eye. So, to truly grasp the stakes of losing our digital lives, we have to understand the symptoms. We need to know how these infections behave. Let's compare two major ones, wipers and rootkits. Notice the fundamental difference in their game plans here. Wipers are all about blunt, brute force aggression. Their single devastating purpose is to destroy memory. Boom, gone. They are the virtual equivalent of a rapidly degenerative disease that violently attacks a host until there is absolutely no recollection left. Now, on the flip side, consider rootkits. Rootkits operate with a totally different strategy. They don't want to bluntly destroy the system, they want to enslave it. They are incredibly stealthy, incredibly insidious. Their entire goal is to take total system control from the shadows, without the host even having a clue that it's infected. It is a terrifying contrast. You basically either wake up to find your entire digital existence brutally wiped clean, or you just go about your day, completely unaware that a pathogen has silently hijacked every single function of your digital life. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it fundamentally shifts our perspective on the threat itself. Instead of viewing malicious code as merely a static set of programming instructions, something typed out by some guy in a basement and executed by a machine, we need to view it as a digital organism. Let that sink in for a moment. This isn't just software anymore. It is a living, mutating entity. A digital organism possesses a kind of biological imperative. It adapts to its environment. It finds clever ways to survive. It mutates to avoid detection, and it aggressively seeks to compromise its host. When you start viewing code through this biological lens, you instantly begin to understand exactly why these virtual pathogens are so incredibly resilient and why they're so ridiculously hard to eradicate once they actually take hold. And this evolutionary adaptation brings us to a terrifying leap in the life cycle of these digital organisms: fileless malware. This is a type of malicious entity that operates directly in a system's active memory. And here's the kicker: it leaves absolutely no traditional files behind to be detected. To understand why this is so insanely dangerous, think about your computer's antivirus software. That software is essentially your computer's immune system, right? But that immune system has been trained to look for physical, recognizable files. It's looking for the digital equivalent of a viral casing. Because fileless malware operates purely in the active memory, it creates an entirely invisible infection. It bypasses the traditional immune response completely. Because, well, as far as your system's defenses are concerned, there's literally nothing there to scan. It's a total phantom pathogen. Let's move to and see how this builds. How does a phantom pathogen actually take hold? Well, it's a systematic, three-step biological invasion. Step 1 is exposure. This is the initial contact. It's a surface-level vulnerability being exploited. Maybe you accidentally clicked a compromised link, or maybe there's an open network port. From there, the disease progresses to Step 2, evasion via fileless malware. Just like we talked about, the organism uses its invisible nature to slip right past the host's software immune system, dwelling totally undetected in those temporary memory spaces. But then we hit the true climax of the infection. The most dangerous phase by far is Step 3, kernel-level infection. The organism doesn't just stay on the surface, and it doesn't just hide in the peripheral memory, it burrows down deep into the absolute core, creating a massive, massive internal breach. When that pathogen reaches the core, the results are, frankly, catastrophic. The kernel is the very heart, the fundamental brain of the computer's hardware. It directs every single essential function. And when these organisms achieve a kernel-level infection, they act as digital neurosyphilis. I want you to really absorb the severity of that comparison for a second. This is definitely not a common cold. This is a terminal disease. The pathogen attacks the very nervous system of the machine. It takes these incredibly complex, high-functioning systems and just completely reduces them to a broken mental state. The hardware, the metal in the glass, might physically still be sitting right there on your desk, but the mind of the machine, it has been irreparably shattered. The digital organism is completely broken. Which brings us to a deeply provocative question that I really want to leave you pondering today. We rely on these biological-like digital systems for absolutely everything. I mean, they hold our infrastructure, our global communications, and literally the entire recorded history of our virtual age. So, as you look at your own tech, your own networks, your own interconnected life, you have to ask yourself, is your digital organism immune to the next virtual plague? As these pathogens continue to evolve, hiding invisibly in memory and striking fatally at the very brain of our technology, a standard immune system might just not be enough anymore. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I will definitely see you next time.